the show. I wanted to start with the big news this afternoon. Manchester United's first official deal under the new tutelage and new stewardship of Ineos with Joshua Zirkzee. That is complete. He's having his medical this afternoon, stroke this evening. He will be a Man United player, 42 million euros. I'm going to throw it out to the panel. How good a piece of business is this, in your opinion, for United?
I think it's decent, actually. I know a lot of people are like laughing at it, but I don't know why people are laughing at it. I think that for Man United, it's the perfect sort of signing in the striker position. I've said it many times. We know they've got Højlund, and people for some reason think that Man United should maybe give up on Højlund or something. Like he ain't only 21, 22 years old. So it either had to go one way for United. They either had to sign a top guy that's like right near the end of his career, or they had to pick a different style of player that's also young to be able to have options up top. And I think Zirkzee's that. I think he's a great signing. And in the striker market as well, the price that Man United are paying, I know people see 42 million and think that's a lot, but that's euros. So it ends up probably being about 35 million, something like that. So I personally think it's actually a good bit of business. And I think we ain't seen a lot of him in this Euros. Because he hasn't really got much game time for Netherlands, but I'm not going to lie, they've got the worst manager in the competition, so I wouldn't worry about that.
Yeah.
I think it's a great bit of business.
Personally, I think I'm not really too bothered about it. You know, I've known about Joshua Zirkzee ever since he was at Bayern. I never really rated him that highly, but I still think Højlund is going to be the main guy. Nothing changes for me. Højlund will still be that main guy for United for the foreseeable future. I think overall as a striker, he's just a better striker. But like what Giuseppe said, he is a lot different to Højlund, and what it is, he's an extra asset to your team. He's a lot more technical on the ball. He's not as physically dominant, but he's better on the ball, linking up play with other players. A lot better than Rasmus Højlund. And Højlund's more, I see him more as a guy that will try, is a poacher, try get in the box, getting some goals, do the hold-up player from time to time, but really be direct at the centre-backs. Joshua Zirkzee is nothing like that. He's nothing like that. And look, if it's going to be about £35 million for a backup striker, and he's young, look, decent business. But again, as a rival, I wouldn't be too worried about it.
Do you not think, though, with Van Nistelrooy coming in, that's going to help both Højlund and Zirkzee? You've got someone who knows the club, was an elite goal scorer. Surely having a coach like that comes in helps both of them. That's the way I see it. Like, and if Højlund gets an injury and they didn't bring Joshua Zirkzee in, who would they have?
I think either way, as in, like, for me, I always saw as Højlund starting no matter what, and I did not know that Van Nistelrooy is moving to United as an attacking coach. If that's the case, well, if he can spread a little bit of tips and tricks to Rasmus Højlund, it's going to make him even better. Because if he's half the finisher he was, then boy, it's going to be a big problem. Big
I think what I find interesting about this deal is I quite like Joshua Zirkzee. I think he's a talented player. Very, very aware that there is nothing about him that screams sort of 30 goal a season prolific. However, if you look through his career, I think he has around 200 plus games, around about 100 plus GA across that. So he is someone that contributes, which is nice. But I even like what we've done in terms of the payments. So I saw a few United fans kicking off saying Ineos' first action is to pay £2 million over the buyout clause. Like, what a disgrace. And it just ignores the people's lack of understanding when it comes to the sort of football finance element. Yes, we've paid slightly over the asking price by about 2 million euros, but it means we can spread the cost over the 5-year period of his contract, which is what you need to, like, people don't realize when people read these statements from journalists, they go, oh, Arsenal have only got £80 million to spend this summer, like cash wise. Yeah, but that £80 million can get you nearly £300 million worth of player because you don't spend it all up front. And I am at a point where I feel like Elon Musk has got to do this on X, where if people mention net spend, they should get a lifetime ban because it's pure misinformation. So I'm quite happy with the way we've structured the deal as well. It's smart. You've seen a lot of I know a lot of people get at Chelsea for their last 2 years, but the one thing you can't take away from them is that they've been very clever when it's come to the financial structure of a lot of their deals. It really, now some will say, "Oh, giving out 8-year contracts is bad business." That remains to be seen, especially when it comes to the players that they've invested long term in, the likes of Caicedo and co. But what it has done, it means they're still able to spend now. They'd have signed those guys up to 4-year deals and still spent the same amount of money, that £1 billion+ in the last 2 years. They'd have a lot less money to spend this summer. So I like the player. I like the structure of the deal. I like that we're working on multiple deals at the same time. And for some people, they'll look at that and think it's not that impressive. It is if you go back and look at how Man United have operated. You know, what we have done in the last decade goes right back to the Fellaini deal. Could have signed him for like £15 million, but went past that deadline by 3 days and then signed him for 27 million. We've been doing that ever since, like paying almost double the price for somebody that wasn't even a number one target. So to see us spread our costs, work on multiple deals at the same time, buy talented players that are also not extortionate. They're not, like, Zirkzee's not coming in and everybody's going to go, a lot of pressure on him. I feel like if Woodward would have signed Zirkzee, we'd have paid 70 million for him. I just have this like gut feeling that's the type of thing we would have done. So overall, I'm really happy with this deal. Of course, I need to see the fruits of this labor. How we play football is going to be far more important than the financial dealings and the operations off the pitch. But as a Man United fan, I'm very happy with the way we've orchestrated ourselves. And De Ligt's on his way. We've got the bid for Lenny Euro accepted. Conversations with PSG over Ugarte are looking pretty good. And a lot of sources in Liverpool have stated that Everton are quite resigned to losing Branthwaite. And they know they're not getting their £70 million. And I still think we need more. Of course, our squad isn't going to be complete this summer, regardless of who we sign. But I look at that overall business that we're looking at, and yeah, I'm quite happy. I'm quite excited about watching the team playing pre-season and hoping to see some real progression with our style of football with the new coaches that we've employed for Ten Hag as well. So far, I think a very good start from Ineos, Ashworth and co. But more of the same, please, really, because we're it's baby steps in the grand scheme of where we've got to get to. But so far, so good, I think.
I completely agree with what Terry's saying, and I think you have to look at this with looking at the past and what Man United have done in the past, and looking at how they've bought players in the past. You know, they always have a main target, the Galactico, as you want to call it, their player that they want to bring in, their star player that's going to cost them shitloads of money. They always have that one player. This time, they haven't really had that one player. They've been going in for multiple players. They've been testing the waters. They've been, for instance, the Lane Euro deal. I mean, listen, at least they're throwing their hat in the ring. Do you know what I mean? At least they're saying, you know what, we're here. We're willing to pay the money. Like, we want you. Do you know what I mean? So I think for me, looking at Man United and looking at how they're doing their deals now, I think it's much more better, much more organized than how they were doing it before. And it just shows that the new leadership is actually taking charge and saying, you know what, we're going to be a bit more organized with the way that we're chasing these players, but we're not going to be like just throwing the kitchen sink at it all the time, because it's not a rush for us. We want to get the right players. We want to get them at the right price, and we want them to come in and be most comfortable. And I think, Terry, you said that there was something saying that it's obviously Carrington's a much calmer place now. It's not as much of a mess as it was before, and I think that's another thing that they've added.
Yeah, and BF here says, Terry, it's a fair challenge, to be fair. So don't you think you should wait until these plans come to a bit of fruition first before you feel optimistic? I get where you're coming from, but it's like, yes, I think you should wait before getting overexcited. I'm making no claims. I'm not sitting here saying, I love the start. We're back, baby. We're going to challenge for the title. We'll be Champions League winners within 2 years. We're going to play the best football in the league. Those claims are not being made. I'm just seeing my club behave differently, and I think it's a good start. But as I've stated, I need to see the fruit of this labor. I'm not making any predictions about where United will finish until I've seen us kick the ball in pre-season, until I've seen us finish this summer transfer window, and you see what the squad's looking like, how we're playing football. But we're assessing the business thus far and the actions thus far, and I don't think there is too much to be critical of. Now, if you are critical of it, that's absolutely fine as well. Come on, if it's either in the comments or on the panel, say why you think it's wrong and say what impact you think it's going to have upon the club. I'm just stating that so far the baby steps have been very, very good, in my opinion. There are areas I'm concerned with. I look at De Ligt. I'm a bit worried about that signing, stated it many times. Keeping Ten Hag, I'm going to get behind it. I'm going to support it and be objective. So I'm not going to be looking for every single bit of negativity and throwing the baby out with the bathwater. But I am skeptical. But I've said all along, I've got what I wanted, which is key football decision makers with a pedigree and a background. I just don't want to nitpick every single decision and be negative every single step of the way. I'm going to give it time to cook. So I'm just having a bit more of a positive outlook. Unless things start going wrong on a regular basis, there's no need for me to be negative right now. It's just there is zero need, in my humble opinion. So I really like the challenge, though, my friend. Don, welcome to the show. Good to see you back, brother, on the terrace. A little bit late coming in. So this here says Serie A young player of the season for 35 million, slightly above the 33 million release clause. However, it's in exchange for more favorable payment terms spread over 3 years. Unreal business is what Mr. Hussein says here.
Terry, I was just gonna say, actually, listen, props to United right now, man, because I actually like how they're moving in the window. They're not trying to overpay for players. You know, Man United over the years, they're known for overpaying for players when it comes to wages, when it comes to the fee. Same thing as Chelsea. Both of our clubs have inflated the market. You know what I'm saying? And after the whole Neymar deal, the market went crazy. Some of these players that were like 40 million, 90 million. You know what I'm saying? Some of these players that are worth 20 million, 50 million now. You know, I feel like the market's kind of leveled itself out a bit. And obviously a lot of clubs are struggling with PSR. So I'm happy that United are saying, yo, we ain't going to give you 70 million for Bramford right now. Take time. Because they know Everton have got problems financially as well. You know, Zirkzee, we're going to pay a little bit above the release clause. We ain't going to give you a mad thing for Zirkzee. Because in the previous market, he might have been about 80 million. You know what I mean? So I like how they're moving. And hopefully more English clubs will move like this, including my own. That's why I like the fact that we're trying to make shrewd signings that people have never heard of before. Because the market has been a joke the past few years. And now I feel like it's leveled itself out a bit. It's starting to get a little bit more like what it used to be.
I agree. And you get comments like this that say accountants now. It's not about being accountants. And it's about understanding. When a club, forget how much you think, whatever you name it, Island Breeze, forget how much you think a player's worth or I think they're worth or the seller thinks they're worth. Man United, it's self-evident. We've been paying regularly above the valuation that we set for a player. That sets a bad precedent. You sign a 25 million pound value player for 90 million. The level of pressure that puts upon you and expectation and hole in quality you leave in the squad is crazy. It's about setting the right precedent. It's about being able to buy the right players that suit you. Equally, we have definitely chased the wrong people multiple times over the last decade. And just because they sound good on paper doesn't mean they're the right fit for the football club. You know, Di Maria is a prime example. Top talent. He didn't want to be here. But we overpaid for him. We offered him stupid wages, so he agreed. And look how it ended. That type of business has to stop. So it's not about being accountants. It's focusing upon the mistakes we've made in the past, overspending that's then led to having players that didn't want to be here, a poor quality squad, and then a lack of money to be able to rectify it quickly. So all of these things matter, my friend. It isn't just about being an accountant. And
you're already seen it. You're already seen Everton trying to use Fofana and Maguire as a benchmark as to why you lot should spend what you should. And we should have never spent 80 million on Fofana after his injury record. You lot should have never spent the amount that you did on Maguire. You know what I mean? So now clubs, I like the fact that you're putting your foot down and say, yo, you're not going to finesse us. Do you know what I'm saying? It's good.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the cop. Before I come back to this one from Will, this is Terry. Explain how spending less shows ambition. It's not about spending less. It's about spending more smartly. At the end of the day, if I want to buy my daughter a birthday present and I really want to show how much I love her, and her favorite, she likes Barbie at the moment, my daughter. Her favorite Barbie playhouse is worth, it costs £200. But I go, I'm just going to overpay. I'm going to spend £300 on it. Does that mean I love her more? Because I'm stupid enough to pay over the odds? When what I could have done is bought her what she wanted and then put that £100 towards something else that she likes, or I don't know. It doesn't show more ambition to overspend. It's ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense. Overspending. I've said it for years. When football fans go, "It's not my money, I don't care," it's the dumbest football logic ever, because you will run out of money. You know, when I can't afford to pay the electric bill in a month because I've overpaid for a present for my daughter that I didn't need to overpay for, that's stupidity, my friend. And that stupid behavior leads to poor results on the football pitch, because when your club doesn't act seriously like any other organization, it will lead to an underperformance on the pitch. You have to get serious in every single department. Simple and as straightforward as that. But